What's up, y'all? I'm here with Kaloni Davis.
Yo, yo.
So what got you into filmmaking?
Oh my gosh, that's a long answer. What got me into filmmaking? So, I originally started out wanting to be an actor, like an actor only. I went to Creative and Performing Arts High School, and I studied theater, and I was introduced to a video production class. And prior to that, I was all acting, but then I was introduced to the idea of writing and making and creating my own worlds. And I don't know, something clicked and I fell in love with that. As an actor, I felt limited, and I realized that I loved cinema as a whole, not just the actor. And so when I graduated from high school, I opted out of acting college and ended up going to film school instead, and it's been a marriage ever since.
So what? I'm not gonna ask like so what is the creative process of being like a director?
What's the creative process of being a director?
Yeah.
Oh man, you got some long.
Oh man, this all.
What's the creative process? So I think it all starts with an idea first. Whether you're the one who wrote the script or somebody gave the script to you, you gotta have your own vision. For me, typically I direct the things that I write. So with me, it starts with the idea. And my ideas are inspired by many things. My own experiences, people watching, music, other people's movies, anything you can name it. Once I get the idea, my favorite, I've begun to learn that my favorite part of the process is actually writing the script. Once I get my idea, I sit down and I lose myself in the world that I'm creating, and I have so much fun that when I'm done writing it, I feel like I die if I don't get to make it. And so that's a whole nother part. So being a director, everything that I've written, my goal is to convey that on screen as close as possible. Using cinematography, music, connecting with the actors on a human level, getting them to genuinely convey themselves on screen, and piecing together a story that ultimately will entertain and keep audiences, drawn in. With all the tools that I have at my disposal as a director.
Okay.
Visual elements, camera, lighting, the written word, music, camera movement, all those things.
Now, coming from the acting side to the directing side.
Yeah.
Is there certain like elements that actor, like let's say someone new.
New actor?
Yeah, and they want to do directing or producing. Is there things they need to be able to learn, not like slowly but quickly, or like is it like something where like, all right, I'll just take a photography class? Like, do you recommend them to do that?
So as a director?
Yeah, like do you? I'll use a certain. I want to use these choices because these are the ones I can think on top of my head. Do you expect them to come in? Let's say they're acting, right? Do you expect them to come in as the photographer that know how to do portraits, or do you expect them to be like a videographer that does music? I'm just hypothetically speaking, that does music videos.
Okay. All right. I think I understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to answer it. So it's important to understand that a director's first responsibility, like I said before, is to have a vision.
Okay.
You gotta have a vision. You don't necessarily have to be the technician behind the camera, creating all the pretty pictures. That's somebody else's job.
Okay.
Right? It's good to know how to do that job because it helps you be able to coordinate and communicate with your cinematographer. But ultimately, it's you want somebody who's better at that than you are. Right? Because you don't want to do everything.
Can't be Superman.
Right? No, that's not a good thing. I understand that. When you're first starting out, you got to do everything. You got to wear all the hats. Once you get to a certain level and you've been doing it long enough, ultimately your goal is to solely focus on directing, and that means telling other people what your vision is so that they can bring it to fruition.
Okay.
Right? So as a director, if I say I need this space to look like a noir atmosphere with a lot of shadows and minimal light, because I want the scene to feel mysterious, I know what I want, but I don't necessarily have to know how to do that.
Okay.
It's my cinematographer's job to know where to put the lights and where not to put the lights, and even where to put the camera and how to move in such a way. You know what I mean? Of course, I should know a little bit about that so that I could communicate that with him more effectively. But at some point, as a director, I want to be able to say, here's what I want, and then step back and let them do what they do best.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But he has to understand what the vision is.
Yeah.
Because he needs his working papers. Does that make sense? He needs to know what I expect. So my job as a director is conveying my vision so that he can take his skill set and live it out.
Is it more easier? You know, I think you already answered it. Is it more easier for someone to already have the materials? Let's say let's say, all right, Kaloni he already got the light. Like Kaloni already has the light. So me as a cinematographer, he just need my.
Oh, you mean equipment?
Yeah, equipment.
Oh yeah. So at like on a professional Hollywood level.
Yeah.
You don't worry about none of that.
Okay.
You let the production company and the cinematographer come in with their stuff.
Okay.
Because they are going to be comfortable with their tools anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, when you first starting out, you have to. You gotta have your own. Most of the time, because you might not be able to afford hiring a cinematographer, but if you can at least purchase your own equipment, then that's another person you can cut out paying.
Okay.
Right? But ideally, the goal is to have enough money to pay everybody to do what they are experts in.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Now, the first project that I ever saw you do was Last Day Saga, and you you end up creating a comic book around that.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, you went from doing that. Obviously, you started in it. How much of the process was that? Because you had action scenes. You was working with Robert Sam.
Yeah.
Did I say his name right? Robert Sam. You was working with Daryl Mays.
Yeah. So what?
So the process of regular filming, right, versus doing action choreography, like what was like? How did you do it? I know that's very open ended, but like how?
Yeah. How did I do the choreography?
Yeah.
I did it. It's just a matter of love for the art, man. You know, the process looks like days upon days of practicing. You can't do choreography. Well, I won't say you can't, but it's best to do choreography when you have a team or at least one other person to work with, right? Because you want to know what your moves look and feel like on camera, right? So what you do is you do test shots with your partner or your team to make sure that it looks right on camera. But ultimately, it all comes from growing up watching kung fu movies, action movies, all that stuff. I devoured that stuff when I was a kid, and so when it came time for me to choreograph, it was almost like second nature.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Plus, being a martial artist myself, I know what the moves are. I know where to apply to certain moves, and I know what they're called and how to communicate that with my stunt team at the time. So yeah, it was an amalgamation of my experiences growing up as a kung fu fan, and when I did Last Day, it all just came out of me. You know what I mean?
Okay. So,
and my team, I gotta give props and respect to Robert Samuels and Robert Jefferson and everybody else that I worked with on that project.
So, since we have like streaming and the creative obviously platform, and they give it a little bit more of a I won't say gatekeeping, but like kind of open the doors up for new creators and new directors. What are the tips that you feel like you can give them so they can be like, okay, so we can better some projects or have better ideas?
What tips can I give to help people improve their ideas?
Yeah. Especially when they do something like two. I'm not knocking them. I'm just how do I make mine not look like the last one?
Oh, like how do you set yourself apart?
Yeah.
Well, you get good by doing it. You know, when you first start out, you're not gonna be that good most of the time. I mean, you will have those geniuses that's like they're great when they first start, right? But you just keep doing it. If you want to write, keep writing. And eventually, you'll find your voice, and your voice will stand out from even the people that inspired you. You'll have your own flavor. If you want to choreograph fight scenes, do it. Keep doing it. I started out choreographing fight scenes on stage. Like, it was stage combat at first. I didn't have cameras in front of me when I first started doing it. And then I was like, I want to do this on camera. But by the time I had been doing it for so many years, and I was like, yeah, I know how I want it to look, so I knew how to shoot it. And then I teamed up with other people who had the same passion. So another tip would be is to surround yourself with like-minded people to help you pull off your ideas. Just keep doing it, and you get better. You get better over time.
Now, I know sometimes you deal with like new people, they get more, like become like their biggest critic. Now, I know a lot of people like, the reason why I want to do it because I didn't have a budget.
Right.
Now,
that's a bad decision.
Could you if it was like not crowdfunding, without actually going into the crowdfunding space, you can basically what's the idea to get people like out of their mindset saying like, no, you can actually kind of do it if you already have a phone or you already have a camera. How do you build like a team of people you want to?
Yeah, listen, man, it's so important. This is why I say it's important to surround yourself with people who share the same passion. Because when you surround yourself with people who share your passion, you're trying to make it, they trying to make it. In the beginning, you're not trying to get paid. You're not trying to get paid. I didn't get $1 off of none of that stuff. Like, nobody paid me to do that. I did it because I loved it. You know what I mean? And the people that I was working with, they loved it. So we were just having fun. We was having fun. We was doing stuff. Now, of course, you can't make a living like that. But what will happen is you'll get so good that somebody who can't do what you do will be forced to pay you, right? And then before you know it, you're hired to choreograph somebody else's movie. You're hired to write somebody else's movie. You're hired to shoot somebody else's movie. You're hired to direct somebody else's movie. But you gotta have that period where you're just doing whatever you can because you love to do it. That's where your skill set. That's where the foundation of the skill set comes from. You know what I mean? And of course I can give some props to school, right? But ultimately, you can go to school for 100 years, but if you don't ever do it yourself, you don't get good. So you gotta just do it. You gotta do it. You can't let nobody stop you.
Okay.
As filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers, we have a habit of waiting for people to give us permission to be directors. Nobody has to give you permission. Just do it. Just do it. Work with whatever resources you have and do it the best you can. I promise you, over time, the resources will come. Somebody will start to see your talent and they'll be like, yeah, I want to pay him to do X, Y, Z. You know what I mean?